For centuries, there's been this one single idea that's been like the bedrock of Western philosophy, a first principle for how we think about ourselves. But what if it's time for an update? What if we actually need a whole new operating system for human meaning in our time? So let's dive into this proposed update to one of philosophy's oldest and most famous ideas.
And here it is, the big one, René Descartes, way back in 1637, the famous Cogito. I mean, it's elegant, right? It's powerful, and it puts the thinking individual right at the absolute center of everything. It's the ultimate starting point for knowledge. My own existence is the one thing I absolutely cannot doubt.
But what if that's not the whole story? What if that foundational idea, by focusing so intensely on the I, actually leads us down a path to isolation? What if it's kind of a trap, and it misses the much, much bigger picture of who we really are?
Okay, so before we can really get the new idea, we gotta take a closer look at the old one. Let's do a little digging and see where the cracks in that old foundation really are. So when people criticize Descartes, it usually comes down to this. First, it's seen as fundamentally self-centered. It starts and ends with me, myself, and I. It also just assumes that the I who is thinking right now is the same I from yesterday, without ever proving it. And it doesn't really give us any clear guidance on how to live a good life. All of this can lead to this really lonely idea called solipsism, the belief that your own mind is the only thing you can be sure even exists. All right, so if Descartes' idea has all these problems, what's the alternative? Well, that brings us to the challenger, a philosophy that's been proposed called Cogito Praesens. Now, on the surface, the definition seems really simple. Cogito Praesens argues that the only thing you can be absolutely 100% certain of is your awareness, right now. Not your memories of yesterday, not your plans for tomorrow, just this very instant of consciousness. It's a way stricter, much more precise starting point. Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating. It's how the idea builds out from that single point of certainty. The logic makes this incredible move. It argues that, yeah, your specific memory of being 5 years old could be totally wrong, but the general fact that you had ancestors is a near certainty. Think about it. All life comes from other life. That general inherited existence is actually a more solid foundation than your own fuzzy personal memories. And this is where the name Cogito Praesens is just brilliant. Presence is Latin, and it has this powerful double meaning. It's the present moment, the now of our awareness. But it's also a present in the sense of a gift, something that was handed to us, an inheritance from everyone who came before. Our very consciousness is a gift. All right, so we've got our challenger. Let's do this. Let's throw Cogito Praesens into the philosophical ring with some of the heavyweights and see how it stacks up according to the people who came up with it. Round 1. Where does knowledge even come from? Descartes gives us an I that's certain but totally isolated. Cogito Praesens starts with that same solid ground of the present moment, but then it immediately rips us out of that isolation by connecting that I to a whole chain of ancestors and descendants. It turns knowledge from a private possession into a shared stewardship. Okay, next up, ethics. How do we know what's right? A system like utilitarianism, which is all about getting the best outcome for the future, is great, but it can feel kind of cold and impersonal, right? Cogito Praesens, on the other hand, pulls its ethics right from its starting point. If your consciousness is an inherited gift, then gratitude isn't just some mushy feeling. It's the most logical, rational response to the evidence. But does any of this work in the real world? I mean, really? Modern movements like effective altruism are incredibly powerful and data-driven, but they can sometimes feel disconnected from our actual human story. The argument here is that Cogito Praesens gives us a more grounded, more intuitive compass. Instead of just relying on data about the future, it anchors our actions in this felt sense of gratitude to the past and responsibility to the future. It's a framework anybody can get, no special training required. So you might be thinking, okay, is this really that new, or is it just old ideas in a new package? The argument is no. This is a fundamental upgrade. It doesn't get rid of the I, but it reframes it. You're not the star of the show. You're a crucial relay point in a much longer race. It takes gratitude and says it's not just a nice feeling. It's baked into how we know things. It's presented as a really fundamental shift. And this, for me, gets to the heart of it all. Think about how some philosophy can make you feel. Kind of small or anxious or just alone in the universe. Well, the whole point of Cogito Praesens is to do the exact opposite, to make you feel held by the past, needed by the future, and totally empowered to act right now, in the present. Okay, so the source material brings it all home with this, a final scorecard. And look, this is a pretty bold claim, right? But the contention here is that across all these different dimensions, from how rigorous it is to how it feels to live by, Cogito Praesens isn't just competing with the classics, it's providing a more complete, a more resonant framework for our time.
So, what's the big takeaway? Where does all this lead? Well, it all boils down to two huge ethical ideas that, according to this philosophy, you just can't escape.
It's a really simple but powerful 1-2 punch. Check this out. Step 1. My awareness right now is a gift from everyone who came before me. The direct consequence? Gratitude. Step 2. My actions right now are creating the world for everyone who comes after me. The direct consequence? Responsibility. It's like a contract that's written into the very nature of being aware.
And this quote just nails the whole shift in thinking. It's about moving philosophy away from being this lonely individual puzzle, how can I be certain, and turning it into a collective, active process. How do we carry this precious thing forward?
Which brings us to the final, and maybe the most ambitious claim of all for Cogito Praesens, that it's not just a nice idea, it's a necessary one for our survival. Because, for an idea to really change the world, it has to spread. It needs to be sticky, memorable. This concept is framed as a meme, in the original, scientific sense of the word, a unit of culture that copies itself from mind to mind. And its power is that double meaning of present, as both now and gift, that makes it an idea that almost begs to be passed on. So, what does that mean? It means we get to rewrite that famous line from Descartes. It no longer starts with I alone. It starts by acknowledging the past. I am, because they were. And our thinking? It's not just about proving we exist anymore. It's re-aimed toward the future. I think so they may be. And finally, this isn't a philosophy you just sit and think about. It demands that we do something. I act to honor both, the past and the future. Gratitude and responsibility, all fused into one. And that's the question this whole idea leaves us with. It's not abstract. It's aimed right at you, right now. If this moment of awareness you're experiencing is a gift, one that you only get to hold for a little while before you have to pass it on, what are you going to do with it?